Welcome to the Turning Point Show, where we pull back the curtain on high-performance individuals. Here's your host, Andrew O'Malley.
So I'm delighted to have online fitness entrepreneur and writer Mike Vacanti on the podcast today. I was first introduced to Mike's content through Gary Vaynerchuk when Mike was the personal trainer for Gary, and ever since then I've religiously followed his YouTube channel on a daily basis, watching his videos. He pumps out daily blogs and different types of content. As well as being a quality fitness coach, he has a great outlook on life, and he implements a lot of different systems to get things done on a daily basis. So I'm delighted to have Mike on the podcast today. So thanks for coming on the show, Mike.
Thank you. I'm really excited, man.
So
I was just Snapchatting you too, by the way.
Oh shit! I'll check that later. Now it'll be funny. So I suppose starting off, if you want to give people a brief background about yourself, I suppose I know you're in accountancy for a couple of years and you decided to leave that and go into the fitness industry. I suppose you want to talk about the process of leaving your job and how you got involved in the fitness industry and how you got started working with Gary and why you decided to leave. If you want to give listeners a brief background about that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I got an accounting degree because I knew I had an interest in business. I knew I liked business. My dad did business. It was like a respected profession. I was in university, and you're forced by year 2 to pick a major, and so I did. Accounting's safe. It's secure. There's good money there. There's always jobs, and so I took it for those reasons. And I was pretty good at it. I did well in my accounting classes. Fast forward, graduated, got a job at a big 4 accounting firm and worked as an auditor for 2 years. And I just, I hated every day. Like, I just knew it wasn't right for me. I knew it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And pretty early on, I started staging what would be me quitting by like grinding on the side, saving up as much money as I could, spending as little as possible because I knew I would need savings if I wanted to take a shot at something. Fitness, since I was 13 and got cut from the Bantam hockey team, and like the embarrassment and the grind to come back and like not being very good at sports, but use weightlifting and plyometrics and just getting myself in better shape so that I could succeed at that sport through high school. That was my introduction to fitness. All through high school and college, it was the thing I liked most, right? Like, people talk about find your passion. What's your passion? It's the thing that if you didn't get paid, you would still do it anyway. That's strength training. That's talking about nutrition with people. Like, that's it. It's just what I like the most. And so I quit my accounting job and pretty soon after started a blog and started training clients in person. And pretty soon after that, I was introduced to Gary Vaynerchuk through his previous personal trainer, John Romanello, who I interned for, who was a mentor of mine, who was like massively helpful in my development. Like, Roman really put me on to the fitness scene, and he introduced me to Gary V. And yes, I trained Gary for 2 years. He pitched me on this, like, be the CEO of my body, train me every single day, go on my family vacations, bring lunch to me at the office. Like, when we were in hardcore fat loss phases, I would go to the restaurant. He would have like a 7 o'clock dinner meeting, an 8:30 dinner meeting, a 10:30 dinner meeting. And I would like just be chilling. So I'd get myself food and I'd work on my laptop, but making sure he's staying on point. Hey, just salad, course 1. Hey, okay, yes, you can get a steak here, or like we need to do like fish today, but basically keeping him dialed in. And it was a 2-year deal, and that ran up at the beginning of July. And so for the last 6-7 months, I've just been like through the process of working with him. My online business continued to grow and get in shape and like learn about fitness, because there's so much BS in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
For free, just trying to pump out as much good stuff as I can.
Oh, I suppose you're probably sick of getting this question asked, but what were the key lessons you learned from Gary, from either being around him or directly, like the kind of advice directly that he gave you, and probably what you picked up by osmosis or just being around him? What were the few key lessons you learned from him?
I mean, there are so many, and like, he was unbelievably impactful and just a good dude. Like, People see it and they see the hustle and they see him on stage and they're like, he's so cool. But people don't understand that he's just like a good guy too, like good to hang out with, good person. I wrote a blog post called "The 12 or 14 Things I Learned Following Gary Vaynerchuk Around for 2 years." I think the title is more eloquent than that, but but that details it. I'm trying to think of the biggest ones. Like his work ethic is one, but I feel like his daily vlog has outlined that to the point where I don't need to belabor that point. Abandoning perfectionistic tendencies and getting in the habit of just doing without needing content or needing like any action to be perfect is something that rubbed off on me a lot. Being honest with myself as far as like, am I actually working hard or am I BSing? Am I like opening new tabs? Do I have Microsoft Word open and I'm writing, but really I have my phone too and I'm like doing stuff on Instagram. Like that's a big one. Yeah, they're just countless.
There's too many probably lists. I suppose everyone will have to check out that blog post about the 14 biggest lessons you learned. I suppose you touched upon it there. You talk a lot in your vlogs on YouTube about dealing with procrastination and when you kind of make excuses for yourself. I think everyone makes excuses for themselves, like to justify whether it's not to do a workout or to eat this chocolate bar or whatever it may be. How do you help combat procrastination yourself in your own life and stay disciplined and on track to reach your goals?
Yeah, that's a good question because I'm by no means an expert at this. One like small thing that I find, first, I think that planning is often a form of procrastination. If I find myself in all right, here's going to be my schedule for the next year. On Mondays, I'm going to do this at this time. On Tuesdays, I'm going to do this, and like trying to lay everything out. I know I'm not going to stick to it. And so that's like a way of not doing the work for me. What works best from a planning point of view is the night before, look at my next day. Okay, here are my obligations. At this time and this time, I'm doing this and this. But during these chunks of free time, what do I want to get done? I'm going to get my inbox to 0 here. I'm going to write 1,000 words here. I'm going to do, and like laying that out and being super realistic, right? If I know I'm not going to get good sleep, if I have a tough workout the next morning, whatever it is, like really laying out what I'm doing the next day and then taking it one day on that. If I have to design 5 training programs and that's an overwhelming feeling for me and I'm laying in bed with my phone up with Netflix on and I'm like, I can't get myself to do it because I know this is going to be so much work. Don't jump from Netflix to the difficult task. Jump from Netflix to I'm gonna do the dishes quick and then maybe I'll do a load of laundry. Like maybe I'll any action, because we think that we can like trick ourselves into being in a motivated state when really starting to do something brings on.
You follow what like Gary talks about a lot of the document, not create. Like you said, of course, you don't have the procrastination. It's something you struggle with as well. Like, so I suppose it's always interesting seeing kind of when you try different things and you pick up what works and what doesn't work, and you know you can implement that into your own life. One of like the big things I've gotten from yourself is the concept of reverse bets and using that as a form of goal setting. So I suppose a lot of people I'd never heard of. Well, I probably sort of heard of reverse bet, but I think you put it well and kind of very clear and concise. If you want to explain to people what exactly reverse bet is and how you use that to try and achieve your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's setting a negative outcome if you don't execute a specific task or set of tasks. So when I was 18 years old and I couldn't get abs, I couldn't stop eating dessert food. I would binge and restrict was the cycle I was in. So to combat that, I told my mom, for the next 3 months, January, February, March, I'm going to give you $100 if I eat any dessert food. Now knowing what I know, I wouldn't have gone cold turkey on it. I would have had like a more balanced approach, but that's what I needed to do. $100 meant a lot to me at the time. And so I went 3 months without eating dessert food. I got like lean enough. I had abs showing through, and that concept is something I've carried forward into work, like setting up negative outcome. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, American football, he is the antithesis of the team that I root for, and so I made a reverse bet. I'm going to give him all this money. I wrote a check out to him, gave it to my roommate. I was like, make sure this gets cashed. Like, if he doesn't cash it, give it to a charity. I don't care. But like, the idea was, if I don't execute on this set of tasks, this dude who I don't like is getting all this money. And the tasks were, for the next 11 weeks, I'm going to hit a blog post today. I'm going to do daily Instagram posts. I'm going to do daily YouTube. And I outlined like this content schedule, and I executed against it for 11 weeks. So a reverse bet is a way to force your future self to do something that when you're tired and when you're feeling lazy and when you're feeling down, you're probably not going to want to do, but you know you should do. So locking yourself into that behavior.
Yeah, it's something that's really, like, it was one of the reasons I kickstarted the podcast now. Was you mentioned one of your videos, you challenged people to do a reverse bet, or just challenged people to, you said, if you do 50 podcasts, use that as a reverse bet, and that's something I've done. So 2017, get 50 podcasts out, so a bit behind now. I've got 2 recorded now, just waiting, just have to finish the trailer off for one of them. I'll be uploading them, but I have a bit of catch-up work there to do. But
that's, bro, and guess what? You got 11 months left, so you got plenty of time.
Exactly, yeah. No, that's the way of looking at it now.
Heck.
I suppose one thing probably that might have held me back in the beginning of maybe doing a podcast or putting myself out there in different ways was probably having a fear of, what other people think, like a fear of putting out the content. So how did you have any of that fear in the beginning, and how did you overcome it?
I overcame it by understanding. So the place where it applied the most was, I often find myself in situations where I see things differently than I feel like the rest of the world sees things. And when I do, I get very confused, and I struggle to act on my intuition because all of societal pressure is going the opposite direction. One of these instances was when I was working the accounting job. It was a good job. It was a safe job. It was a well-paying job. It was a respected job. And I just, I literally would go to work and think, if this is what I do for the rest of my life, I'm going to look back and know that I screwed up. I wasted this one opportunity doing something that I don't like doing because I felt like I was supposed to be doing it. And I talked to people, and I was like, am I crazy that I'm thinking I want to quit this job? And the feedback I was getting, and clearly if I was first, this was 2010, so entrepreneurship wasn't as trendy as it is right now. But the feedback I was getting was you're nuts, man. This is, you're making good money. It's a good gig. You keep doing this. You can work your way up. You can become a senior and then a manager. You can be a partner. It's a great gateway into other jobs. No one likes their first job. And so I stopped telling people that I wanted to quit because no one, everyone was just like, you're nuts. What are you going to do? What if the economy crashes? Bro, get a grip. Yeah. So that's a roundabout way of not answering your question at all. How do I care about what other people think? I don't tell people my goals most of the time. I keep it internal. And I just realized that I'm operating under the assumption that this is it and this is life, and I don't want to have regrets. And so I can either respect myself or do things to garner the approval of others. And I'm just trying, and I'm still trying every day to press that, am I going to, do I respect myself for this action that I'm taking, is a question I ask myself a lot.
Yeah, I suppose maybe a lot of these people, it's probably a reflection of themselves, how, they're not doing probably what they love. The people who said, oh, you're crazy quitting your job, is probably they were too afraid to do it themselves, and they, it was kind of just a reflection of how they're feeling on yourself. But, it's very interesting what you had to say there. I suppose another thing you do is, I know you talked about doing the unscalable in your business, so doing things that necessarily, like an outsider looking in, you'd be saying, oh, why is Mike... I know one instance for your email list, you asked the question, how are you to, you send out an email to everyone and you go, oh really, how are you? And normally nobody replied to, just like if I got an email newsletter and someone asked me a question, I wouldn't reply to it normally, but the way you like constructed, that you went deep with them and you know you got all those replies. And I know you talked about Gary when he writes a new book, he specifically to each person, like it's not an efficient use of his time, but he individually writes a specific tailored message to that individual. Talks about it, he's got a new book coming out, I'd love if you could buy X amount of copies or whatever. So what is your thoughts on doing the unscalable in business?
It is an approach that almost nobody takes. It is an approach that is not necessary. So I do it, but to play devil's advocate, like, know a lot of people that built super successful businesses without taking that approach. But it's like, it's back to talent and hard work. You can't control how much talent you have at something, but you can control how hard you work. The unscalable magic of growing a business in 2017 via like Kevin Kelly 1000 True Fans kind of theory, if you want it, you can get it by going that route, because we all have the same amount of time. And so if you don't have an audience yet, but you just have maybe a couple people that are paying attention to you, giving as much value as you can to those 3 people. And when those 3 become 12, each of those people might get a little less, but you're still giving each of them more than anyone else is giving them on the subject matter of your profession. And when it's 100, trying to help the 100 as much as you possibly can. 2 years ago, I wrote my email list on Christmas, like a Merry Christmas, I'm going to do your macros for free, hit reply. At the time, my list was only like 2,400 people, but 800 people replied to that email. And so I literally spent, I was actually with Gary in because like I did Christmas with my family before, and then I went down, he was down in Mexico. And so I trained him in the morning, and then I spent the next 16 hours replying to emails, and then like the rest of my trip too. But like that, and I didn't say, hey, I have coaching spots available. I didn't say like, hey, buy my this. I didn't say, now go follow me on every social media platform. You were only following me here on my email list. I just tried to help them, but it resulted in, oh, hey, by the way, are you taking on online coaching clients? It resulted in, oh, you really actually spent like 7 minutes talking to me and figuring this out and helping me. I am going to follow you everywhere else. Like it's where the magic is. It's where if you want to grow a business and time is your asset, then it's a guaranteed, almost a guaranteed way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely reflected in the type of audience you have. Probably like you'd look through your YouTube videos and it'd be rare to even have one dislike on a lot of videos, which is pretty unheard of in the fitness industry because there's always.
That's because I don't do steroids. I don't lie. I don't supplements that don't work. Like, it's easy not to get hated on, but so many people in the fitness industry just do all the wrong shit.
True.
Wrong, like, yeah.
Yes. Oh no.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're on it. Cut me across as much as you want. But no, I think though, like even just looking at the comment section, like it's always a very positive kind of environment, and I think that's a reflection of kind of that type of approach you take about doing the unscalables and connecting with people on a deeper kind of on a deeper basis. So moving on a bit, I know. So you recently, probably, I don't know, what was it, a few months ago, 6 months ago, you started training your father, or kind of helping him make a life change, and you talked about the importance of having tough conversations with people. So maybe if you want to just tell people just a brief background about that and why it's important not to bottle these things up, and even if you're afraid or you don't want to have these conversations, why it's important to actually go through with them. Yeah.
You did your homework. This is a good podcast. You're asking good questions. Make sure I blast this out to my people because I want people to hear this. My dad. So what happened was post Gary, I was in this weird like flux zone where I had this project every single day. I was training this dude every single day. My goal was to get him in better shape. Alongside that, I was trying to grow my business. But when that was over, I was kind of like thrown out of my routine. I don't have to be in New York right now. I could be anywhere in the world. So I traveled a little. I spent a weekend in Las Vegas with some friends. And I went back to Minnesota and hung out with family for a few days. And then I was going to go to Los Angeles. And I was sitting in a coffee shop, Caribou, on Old Shakopee Road, next to like by the high school where I grew up, in kind of like a surreal late summer moment. School's about to start, and I was just thinking, and like my dad was an athlete. He was a Division I college athlete. He like was right on the cusp of playing pro. He like bounced around a little bit his first year in the NHL as a goalie, and like made it right there, but didn't make it. So he's an athlete on the inside. But from the age of 24 on, he never lifted a weight. Like he did a little cardio in stints, and there was like a couple times where he lost some weight, but 6 foot, 235, and just not really much lean muscle or strength, big belly, and okay now, like in fine, like 55 years old, not at risk of dying tomorrow. But if you keep eating like you eat and not doing anything, you're dead. We're hacking time off the back end of your life. And so I'm sitting here like thinking about booking my trip to Los Angeles, and I was like, this, and not to sound, I don't know, I feel like I'm being self-glorifying right now, but really like this guy who gave everything and raised me and was like the best dude ever to me, I just felt like it was an opportunity where my skill set overlapped with something he needed. And we don't like, I have an amazing family, but tough conversations are tough and not always initiated. And so it was hard for me to be like, hey, let's go on a walk. And he's like, we're going on a walk? Like, why are we going on? Like, okay, something's going, did you get a girl pregnant? Like, what's up? And we start walking, and I was like, look, like if we continue the way that we're continuing with life, you're just not going to be around in the long term. And I teared up, and like I pitched him this idea. I was like, I'm going to be back in Minnesota. Vikings are going to be sick this year, and I'll hang out for 3 or 4 months, and I want to get you back into shape. I want to work you out like I did Gary, however much you need it, 3-4 days a week of weightlifting, dial in nutrition, but like I'm your guy. And he was very receptive to it. I think at first, actually, I know he just wanted to hang out. Like he's like, oh, that means you're going to live in Minnesota and like come home for family dinners and like be around. Like, yeah, I'm in. Because the first 4 weeks, he hated the workouts. Like he did not enjoy the process at all. But something clicked around like week 5 where he started seeing real visual progress. He started like, you break through that initial plateau of really bad DOMs. He was less sore. And he ended up losing 30. I mean, he's still going. He went from 230 and change. He's 188 now. Like he has abs showing through. He has bicep vein. He's strong. He's killing it, and he's doing it on his own now. So I did it for 3 months. I trained him in person, and now I'm just doing his online programming, and he's sticking to it and sending me like progress pictures and pictures of the scale, and like just he has momentum. He's doing all the right things. So for the last 3 months, I got him close to 200. He's taken it from like 203 down to 188 on his own, and is continuing to kill it. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, great testimonial as well, I suppose. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he did a lot. Yeah.
He's like, I want to be your best testimonial. And like, I should get that picture on my site actually, 'cause it's crazy.
definitely. Yeah. No, that's amazing. I suppose it's a great way of yourself on a personal level, just giving back as well, as you said, to the people who raised you, your father, and no, that's great. So I'm just conscious of the time here. I know you have to leave the call shortly, so just briefly touch on something that you talk about kind of. I define it as working in the business rather than working on the business. Kind of focus on, I think the way you put it, focus on the grind rather than the hustle. Or you get kind of very, very dialed in onto like the grunt work, and you don't do a lot of the other hustle work. So if you want to just briefly touch on that point.
I don't know that I can, man, because I am that is me. I'm 99% grind, 1% hustle. I do Ray Dalio is a hedge. We can go a few minutes past, by the way. Ray Dalio is a hedge fund manager for Bridgewater Capital, like enormous. They might be the biggest hedge fund in the world.
I think they're.
He wrote an ebook called Principles, which is free. Like if you Google Ray Dalio ebook, it'll be the first result. And he talks about there being 2 U's. There's like the U that's overseeing what's going on, and then if you want, you can slide U2 into an execution role, right? So like, for example, here's me thinking about like, here's my personal relationships. here's like women, here's my business. And when I'm thinking about my business, one role in business is customer service, right? Right now, I put you two in customer service because I'm like the guy there executing. Whereas if I was better at managing and like delegating and outsourcing, I would have someone else in that role, and I would have. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. Yeah, I suppose that's another thing about yourself is you wouldn't be kind of your traditional fitness entrepreneur. Like you wouldn't. I know like what the kind of big viral thing now is like the 10,000, 20,000 calorie challenge. Like this, like typical like YouTube fitness kind of people do, and they kind of like that's what they do. They kind of. I just lost my train. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. About what we're talking about.
I just on of like grinding versus in the business versus outside of the business. I'm just bad at working on the business, meaning I'm so much like I can grind program design, I can like make content, I can interact with clients, I can do all these things, I can reply to all my personal email, but like taking a step back and moving some pieces around and trying to make things operate more efficiently, I'm just not very good at that. And I'm not good at 10,000 calorie challenges.
Yeah, no, I remember from watching your bulk. Yeah, I don't know if I'd fancy my chances against you in a 10,000 or 15,000 one anyway. But I suppose where I'm interested to know if you have any vision of where you want to be, maybe in 5-10 years down the line. If it's still, obviously, you said your passion is fitness, but is this the type of kind of stuff you want to be doing, like the continuing doing the programs for clients and working one-on-one with clients far into the future? Have you thought that far ahead, or is there anywhere else, any other areas you'd like to explore?
I have thought that far ahead. I'm not good at coming up with an answer to like what I want to be doing. I know I want to be helping people, and I know I want to be making stuff. And right now, stuff means videos and blog posts and like social media content. I don't know if that medium will change in 5 or 10 years, but putting out, call it content, but like making art basically where my interests, my skills, and like having some impact on other humans where that all overlaps, that's what I want to be doing. Whether that means one-on-one coaching, whether that means in person, whether that means meetups, group coaching, I don't know the exact way that'll take shape, but at its core, like helping people with the stuff I'm good at is what I want to be doing. And I don't see myself like, I really like fitness, and I don't see myself going anywhere.
Yeah. Oh no, it's great. I suppose, yeah, it's hard to even, when you're self-employed, it's hard to even look maybe a day or a week in advance to know what you're doing next week. So let alone 5 or 10 years. So I know it is a tough question. A lot can happen in the space of a few months even. So I suppose we'll move on to a few quick fire questions now. Just a few questions I've prepared here that I like to ask guests. So
I love.
The first question is, what 3 people, alive or dead, would you love to have dinner with, or Chipotle, because you seem to love Chipotle. So
I love Chipotle so much. That's a really good question.
It is a tough question. If you only have 2, that's fine as well.
No. So one person, I'm very curious about, very recently curious about family history and like just how crazy it is, how much lineage there is that you just have no idea about any of those people. So I would grab a random great, whatever the number of greats, grandpa in like maybe like the late 1700s or like mid 1800s as one of them. I'm not going to include any living people just because, maybe I will. Let me continue to think about this. This is a hard rapid fire.
It is very hard, yeah. It's probably not very rapid. It's probably...
No, that's all right. I'm going to go fiction. I would have Albus Dumbledore as
great answer.
Chipotle, he's for sure getting like triple meat plus guac at least. And I would have my mom come too. She's read some Harry Potter, and I feel like it'd be a cool experience and just like good for the vibe, and I love her. So yeah, those are my three.
Oh, that's a great answer. Yeah, the first Albus Dumbledore anyway that I've gotten. So, so next question, I suppose, what are one or two books that you'd often recommend people to read? They can be about anything, whether it's fitness, business, whatever. What would those books be? A couple of books.
Yeah, I mean Harry Potter.
For sure. Yeah.
I read Shoe Dog, which is Phil Knight's story, the founder of Nike, and yeah, it's just an unbelievable story. That's definitely on that list. For this genre and like kind of not self-help, but in the like for people who find themselves wanting to work really hard and maybe they feel weird about wanting to work really hard. Yeah. Relentless by Tim Grover, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's personal trainer. That's one I really enjoyed. The book that my dad gave me when I was quitting my job and like trying to figure out what I was doing is called Your Best Year Yet by Ginny Dietzler, which is like it's like an active book, right? Like there's questions and you actually answer them in the book, and it's pretty traditional self-helpy, but it gets you thinking about, all right, what are my values? Like, what do I care about in life, and how do I make sure that those are getting implemented into my daily actions? And that was big for me at that time too.
Oh, yeah, no, I must read those other two. I've read Relentless, and yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those books I keep going back to. Just, it's one of those books you can pick up and read it, maybe a paragraph or two. You get a good kick from it. Like, he's really intense. Tim Escrover.
The audio book too.
I must, yeah. Does he read it himself? Tim Escrover. He has a real intense voice, kind of.
Does he? I don't know if that's him or not.
Maybe it's not. I must check it out. And I've just got two more quick fire questions now for you. So, what would be 2 or 3 vital habits you'd say, or habits you'd recommend people to implement into their daily lives?
Like anything?
Yeah, anything, literally.
Okay, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Eat vegetables every single day.
Year the micro, yeah.
It's year of the micros, babe. I'm pushing it hard. I would. What's another good habit? I
don't know if you're a fan of meditation. I know if you've dabbled with it, maybe.
Yeah, I have. I just think that can take form in many different ways for many different people. But trying it is definitely something that makes sense. I'm currently on like a little bit of a streak with meditating, but I go hot and cold on that. Just staying up with it. Having any kind of practice, meditative practice, yoga practice, workout practice, anything that you do consistently that leads to you feeling better, and not like drugs, but like something physical that leads to feeling better. A physical practice, I think, is big. Micronutrients, and I'm gonna go cheesy. Tell someone you love them every day, like whether it's reaching out to an old friend, someone you haven't talked to in a while, a sibling, a parent, a child, like, at least one person every day.
Oh, I think that, especially the last one, that's massive. That's something I kind of tend to do. I get wrapped up in kind of what I'm doing with business and everything, and you kind of lose touch with a lot of people, and like great people as well that you just, for whatever reason. So that's a great thing. Like every day, getting in touch with someone you haven't spoken to, even if it's a quick message or a happy birthday or whatever.
Helps you get out of your head too. I have found.
Definitely, yeah. So just the last quick fire question here now is: do you have any advice for your younger self?
How old?
Yeah, I should have prefaced that.
That's all right. I'm 29 now.
I suppose any advice for when you're leaving school, so what would be high school in America, so when you're maybe 18 or you're just going into college and you kind of don't know what you want to do. Like, I suppose you went in accountancy and it turns out you didn't like it, so if there's any advice you give someone of that age group?
Yeah. Don't be scared. No one really cares what you're doing. Like, you think they're judging you, you think they're paying attention to you, you think every decision matters, but no one really cares. And so at that age specifically, like, that is a time where I listened to my gut, my intuition, the least. and I paid the most attention to what's cool, what's in, what should I be doing, how should I be acting, versus what do I feel in my gut. And so that, like, just as aggressively as I could, I would tell myself to discount other people's opinions at that age.
Oh no, that's an unbelievable answer. Yeah, I suppose that's what holds a lot of people back, is including myself, is just thinking, perceptions of other people. So just do you at the end of the day. So I know you're extremely busy, so I really appreciate you coming on. So do you have any parting advice for people listening?
Just get it, guys. Get it. Have fun. Do things that make you happy. Be a good person, and it's the year of the micros. So get those fruits and veggies in.
All right. Once again, I really appreciate it. Thanks very, very much for coming on, Mike. Where's the best place people can find more about you and what you do?
Yeah, I'm doing daily YouTubes right now. If you Google my name, you'll find the blog, which has more of the in-depth content, but I'm everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff.
All right, so thanks again, Mike, and take care.
All right, you too, man. Thanks.